Hello, welcome to this edition of Dirt Talk with Drake York, and I have Kyle Hirst on the show. Kyle, it's good to have you.
Yeah, great. Great to be here. I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun.
And my dad appreciates that shirt. And one more thing, after your past two performances at the King of the West races at $7 Speedway, I'm re-nicknaming you the Shakeinator, because every time you made me shake between the finishes.
I've never got a nickname to stick, so maybe that one will.
Today's show is being presented by Bill McAnally Racing's Auto Care, Hunt's Race World, and Kimball Midwest. Kyle, you just won the David Tarter race. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
First two-time winner of the race.
Very cool.
So Kyle, I know your dad raced.
Mm-hmm.
Was he the one that inspired you to strap into a race car?
Absolutely. Growing up, we were around it and we watched it. I don't remember me in the young years watching him race because I think I was in the dirt playing with my own cars as he was racing. But yeah, as soon as I was old enough, he quit racing and took me racing. And so absolutely, I think it passed on from his stepdad, and he raced and then passed it on to me, and it just kind of moved on. And here we are, some 23 years later.
So at Golan Speedway, you raced there early in your career.
Mm-hmm.
Did that help you as a driver?
Absolutely. That place has bred some great talent throughout the years. I mean, Larson, Sweet, Sean Becker. There's been so many kids that have come through that place. I think it's a credit to Lowell Morale. He does such a good job with the racetrack and all the kids, and I think it's a good learning curve, and steps you up for the next division and next opportunity that comes for you.
As a kid, what drivers did you look up to?
Well, I'd have to say my dad. I'd get in trouble otherwise. We both have to say that.
Other than your dad?
That's all I ever paid attention to. Other than that, I was lucky enough to be racing my whole, since I was a kid. We raced every weekend, whether it was at Cycling or Red Buff. But my dad, man, he had to have been my hero. Watching him and watching what he did. He'd go and work and go racing and still had time for us. So definitely my hero growing up, watching him race and even off the racetrack.
Same here, Kyle.
Yeah.
I know you went to the Midwest for a little bit. How old were you when you decided to go to the Midwest, and why did you go to the Midwest?
It was actually Gary Perkins. I raced for him in California for 3 or 4 years, and then I think it was 2010 came up, and he decided, or I don't know how he decided, but he came and asked if I wanted to go out there, and it was a no-brainer. It's what I've always wanted to do, and so we went out there in 2010 and did that with Gary Perkins and ran the ASCS tour, and it was a big learning curve. It was a lot of fun, a lot of new tracks. But I like being home. I got a good family at home, good friends, and I love the racing around here, and I'd never pass it up again. I mean, I guess I would pass it up again, but I'm glad I did it when I did it, and but I look forward to racing in California as long as I can.
The past 2 years, you've been in Australia for the winter. Well, it's summer up there.
Mm-hmm.
What is different about sprint car racing in Down Under?
You get that question a lot. People ask, what's the biggest difference? And their formats are the biggest difference. The World Series that we race in, you qualify, and after you qualify, you have to run 2 different heats. And if you're quick time, you start 9th and 10th in both of them. So it's a whole different format. You earn points, and but other than that, halftime when you're at the racetrack, you forget you're in Australia. You're just at another track with good racers and dirt track and fans, and you kind of forget you're in Australia. But besides the format, I'd say that's the biggest thing. But other than that, it's just another day at the races.
How did you get that ride in Australia?
I've been over for 4 years now, and I've had 3 rides since I've gone over there. But I was working at ART, and guy Michael Cunningham came over to buy some ART chassis. I helped him load the containers. We became friends, and he figured out that I raced over here, and so he passed the opportunity to have me come over to Australia. And then I hooked up with the Ruse brothers, and it's always just a snowball effect. You meet one person, and then you go over there, and you meet another person, and ended up with the Milwaukee team for the last 2 years. And so it's been a great experience going over there and racing for everyone I've raced for. You meet a lot of people. Just like anything, it's a whole other racing family. It's just getting bigger and bigger the years go on.
Do you enjoy your year-round schedule because you race in the winter and then you race with the King of the West and different series in the summer?
Yep.
Or do you wish you could have more time off?
I can't say I'm getting old yet, or I am getting older than some of the kids coming up, but you enjoy the time off when you go do other stuff with your friends and family and stuff like that. But I like I said, I'll never regret anything I've done. I've enjoyed the racing, and it's a lot of work and a lot of effort, but whenever I feel like I don't want to do it, I won't do it. But until then, I'll keep racing. I enjoy it. I love it. It's my passion. And when it's time to stay home for a winter, I'll stay home and enjoy the rain with you guys here in Chico. But we'll see if I got one more summer in me, go over there and have some fun and see if we can win some races.
Well, a couple years ago, you won one of the biggest races in Australia.
Mm.
What is it like winning a big race in a different country?
It's the same happy. There's nothing different. You're just happy to win. It was pretty cool to put my name up with some of those legends that won that race. People compare it to Knoxville National over here. There was 120 cars there when I won it, or 110. But big crowd, big people, big atmosphere. And then say it's probably one of the biggest races I've ever won. But it's always cool. You never know when your next win's going to come. So any win you get, regardless it's a local show or a big one like that, you appreciate it and move on to the next.
Well, talking about winning races in different shows, well, you won the Dave Bradway Jr. Memorial this year. How special was that win for you?
I'd say that's bigger than the Classic, how much money it was. I've tried to win that race for 11, 12 years now for my parents. That was the biggest thing. They put the race on, and the Dorit, because they've done so much for the whole event and everyone. And been so close so many times and been heartbreakers, and then to finally pull it off, they kept saying they're going to do it till I win it, and then someone else got to figure it out. But they've done it for so many years and done such a great job with it. I was glad that I could finally pull it off, and it was just more for them. But yeah, it was a very emotional win. I'm glad I finally got it done.
Well, you won that race in spectacular fashion. 40 laps, green flag, and to end with it, you and Sean Becker were racing side by side coming the line. What were you thinking as you saw Sean pull up next to you as you raced towards the checker?
I didn't want to see Sean poke his nose up there on me, but yeah, I followed Roger Crockett in the wrong. I thought he was going to go where he didn't, and I ended up getting blocked behind him, and it was a race to the line. But you can race side by side with Sean. He's a great driver. He's probably one of the nicest guys and most aggressive guys we have in the sport. You love racing wheel to wheel with him, and we banged wheels come to the line, but I was glad we'd get it done. And I didn't expect to see him, but like I said, when I got blocked and he poked his nose, we're going for the win. I knew it was going to be a drag race to the finish.
You were talking about how you raced on a ton of tracks through the Midwest. Which one was your favorite track out of all the tracks, including Australia and California and the Midwest?
It's going to be Tulare. Tulare's our bread and butter out here in California. Definitely been some cool ones in Australia, everywhere, but when Tulare's right, it's a fun animal to try to tame and run up on the fence and stuff like that. So, and it's glad it's one of my favorite tracks and it's close to home. It's not somewhere I got to travel to Australia to go to, but there's a lot of good tracks. I'd love to get to Eldora someday. I've ran Knoxville, but it's cool that one of my favorite tracks is only 5 hours south of here, and that's good to be.
Well, what do you like to do other than race? We were talking about how you don't get that much time off. So what do you do in your off time?
I spend time with my fiance Amy over there. Finally get to use that word. She's been waiting for that. But I spend time with my family. I love my family. I'm lucky that they're all very close to me, and that's a big part of my life. So anytime I can see my brother and his little girl, or my sister and her little boy, my parents, everything. So it's a matter of spreading that out. We all live, a couple hours away and stuff. Either spending time with my friends, but it's always something to go do, and that's a big part of my life.
Well, your brother-in-law, Willie Croft, races in the King of the West Sprint Car Series too. I imagine when you come around the campfire for Christmas, say, hey, you remember that race where I accidentally ran you off the track?
Yeah.
Does that ever happen?
I didn't, that year, I think that was last year, 2 years ago, I didn't think we were going to go to Thanksgiving together, but I ended up leaving for Australia, so it worked out okay. But it's funny, we'll have 40 cars in the pits, and I think me and Willie end up side by side all the time, and we always laugh about it. But it's good racing against him. It's good racing against a lot of guys, but it's cool that we're family, and we get to go race each other as hard as we can, and night in, night out. It's a lot of fun.
What do you think your job would be if you weren't a professional race car driver?
I think I'd be around it regardless. Well, like when I worked at ART, I learned how to weld and fabricate, and I have just as much passion for that as I do the racing, working on them and stuff like that. Other than that, my dad laid tile, so I guess I could have went that route and learned how to lay floors here. But and I did do that when I was younger. So I don't know. I think it'd always be around. I love the fabricating, the welding, stuff like that. So if it ever gets to where I'm not racing, I'd love to do stuff like that.
You raced wing and non-wing. You actually won a non-wing race, I believe, at Calistoga. Which one have you enjoyed more, wing or non-wing?
I love non-wing. I actually moved to Indiana when I was 18 to thinking that was the path you had to take, and I ended up not happening. I ended up staying over there for a couple months and coming home, but that was my route I was going to take, and I could have been there like Robert Ballou, but you never know. I do love running non-wing. The wing's a little, you're a little more comfortable in it and stuff like that aspect, but I'd love doing it whenever I get a chance, but I'm more committed to the wing side and stick it out from there.
what is it like to be a professional race car driver?
That's the hardest thing. I've never looked at myself as a professional race car driver. I guess I'm lucky enough to do what I do and just race and stay pretty busy with that and pay my bills in that aspect. But I look at Donnie Schatz as a professional race car driver, and like I said, I'm just lucky, and I never thought in a million years I'd be doing what I'm doing. So I'm very blessed and honored to be able to do it, and never know when it's going to end, so I just appreciate it and do it as long as I can.
Well, you were talking about your fiance,
Yep.
Amy. Tell us about your recent engagement.
She said yes, so that's very good. So yeah, finally asked the question. I've known her forever, and she's my best friend, so I knew it was time, and we're looking forward to the future. We got a wedding on our hands coming up soon, whenever we can find a date with this busy racing schedule. But definitely look forward to spending the rest of my life with my best friend, and looking forward to maybe doing the racing and her and all of it together.
Well, here's an advice for your wedding. I
Yep.
know you guys are trying to plan that. If you've ever heard of Brian Syme and Holly Syme, they race outlaw carts
Yep.
out at Cycling Speedway.
Mhm.
They actually got married in the infield there, so maybe you guys can get married in the infield at your favorite track, Tulare.
She was scared I was going to ask her on the front straightaway at Silver Dollar. So we're going to try to find an open weekend that's not racing. We can have a wedding and a good time and dance, and then I'll get right back into it the next weekend. But hopefully find time for both of them.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Please take the Tulare wedding into consideration. Today's show has been presented by the CPOA, Motorwear International, Shad Trucking, and Roberto Marquez, attorney at law. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you very much.